building communities is something that I've been doing in the last 8 years or so. And it wasn't exactly me. Like, I grew up in the church, and in the church, communities are certainly really key and really important. And it's one of those environments where, there are some people who are hired to do what they do or compensated or incentivized in some way. But the majority of people there are like volunteering in some capacity in most churches, right? Some churches are super busy and big and have paid positions and all that, but you'll find that like most smaller, medium-sized community churches really rely and depend on giving as well as volunteers and volunteers participating and being a part of it. So community, I guess you could say, has always been a part of my DNA in some capacity, but it really was sort of my community collaborator in crime, not crime, but you know what I mean, that encouraged me and was interested in building community almost on an experimental basis, like just to see how people would participate and react and join and be a part of that specific community, like building something that they would love and then inviting them to be a part of it. And so I remember one time we went down like looking for venues where we could bring our community, not programs, but I guess, our community gatherings too was an important part of the whole process. So one time we were going down to a specific venue in downtown Calgary and having a look over, and we were also talking to the owner about being part of our community. So she was interested in being a part of it and leading one of our regular ongoing events, and that was really good. And at one point she said something though that I don't know. I just don't know exactly how to take it. What she said was, we're not going to teach anyone anything. And I think her perspective was sort of that there's a few people that are like either venue owners or previous business owners or people like me that have like online coaching and info product businesses that like are kind of known or movers and shakers or influencers or business owners that have some credence or like have some clout in the community, and so we need to like remain humble and not teach anyone anything. And it was a strange comment, and the reason why I had trouble sort of identifying with it in that moment is because the whole thing about community, I'm sure you've seen it before. You've had that experience of going to like a really rinky-dink Mickey Mouse Club type operation that wasn't anything special. It was just like, a gathering of random people and where random things happened, and maybe there's a bit of food and maybe there's a bit of a program, but like really sort of amateur hour, right? And we always strove to be a kind of a level above amateur hour, because that's exactly what we really didn't want to do. Like, we wanted to avoid that. We wanted to create quality events that kind of ran on time and had a specific agenda and schedule to them. I think even intention's a better word than agenda. So that's why I was like, that's a really strange and interesting comment in the context of what we're setting up. And maybe it just had something to do with the way she specifically understood what it is we were doing to set up. I don't know. It's also possible that she checked out some of my content and what I was up to in my coaching and info product businesses and kind of went like, that's exactly what we're not going to do. We're not that. And look, I do think there is something sacred about teaching. I don't think anyone should just come and decide to become a teacher. I feel, and I could even give evidence for the fact that like I was born to teach. It's just built in me. Like, I almost can't stop it from happening. It's not like I wake up and go, I should teach people things today. It's more like it just pours out of me and I can't help it. And I can't stop it from pouring out in some capacity. And I mean, this podcast is the perfect example. There's always new, fresh content that I'm recording and sharing with you, because there's things that strike me and that I feel like I really want to and need to share with the people who are coming to listen. So maybe she checked out some of my stuff and thought, they're like, that's exactly what we're not going to do. But maybe not. Like, I don't want to make too many speculations or assumptions there about what she had or hadn't seen from from us before, because I was not the only person involved, and in fact, like, I may have been more so on the associate or tech hosting level, not so much at the executive level of these events. Not like a community is necessarily a hierarchy, but I mean, every business and every community sort of ends up being a pyramid, no matter how you attempt to structure it. There's no situation where everyone's a leader where that actually works, right? So you actually have to structure it in a way that's going to have things move and have things happen. And here's what I think about it, right? Again, I do think teaching is sacred. And at the same time, entrepreneurs are the ones just daring enough to believe that they can and will change the world. And how are you going to do that? How are you going to do that by trying to avoid the very thing that needs to be done? Maybe it's not teaching, but it's still going to involve writing, speaking, presenting. It's going to involve some kind of communication at some level. And you can't prevent anyone from interpreting it in a specific way. Some people will always interpret it as he's preaching or he's teaching or he's coming at me. And that's not it. I think when we're triggered sometimes, we're supposed to be triggered by whatever we heard. We heard it the way we were supposed to hear it, even if it wasn't exactly what was being said. So sometimes we assume it's like, oh, I felt this way. I felt bad because of what he said. And it's like, no, you felt bad because of the specific experiences you've had, because of things you've gone through, and also the way you listened and heard what was being said. So you have to take responsibility. Like, I have to take responsibility for what I say, but you also have to take responsibility for what you heard. Because sometimes it's not going to be the same thing. The two aren't always going to match up, and I think that's where often, at some level, we're always going to be triggered. But being triggered, also people assume it's a really bad thing. And I go, that's an opportunity to look at something in you. It's an opportunity to look at maybe what's not working, or look at something that has not been dealt with from your past that needs to be dealt with. So that's my feeling on it, is I gotta teach, because I'm just daring enough to believe that I can change the world, that I can make a difference for artists. And if I make a difference for artists, it's going to change so many things. If artists have access to successful business models, if artists have access to great resources, if artists have access to funds and other benefits that so many other people have in different industries that for some reason artists just don't have, if we better what it looks like and what it means to be an artist, and it's not a constant struggle or fight between jobs and trying to find funding and crowdfunding, and you just don't understand it unless you're in this world. But if I can transform and make things better for artists, I believe that can ripple out and change the entire world. That's why I do what I do. That's why sometimes, quote unquote, I teach. But that doesn't mean I don't believe it's sacred. It's coming up fast and there's no time. Clean Slate 2024 is coming up fast, February 16th in Victoria, BC. You don't want to miss out on this incredible live music and multimedia event with a dosage of inspiration to light you up creatively and to have an amazing 2024. Once again, that's Clean Slate. You don't want to miss out. Go to davidandrewweeb.com and you'll either have the option to get updates, win tickets, or buy tickets as soon as they go on sale. So once again, I invite you to go to davidandrewweeb.com and get your tickets right away. See you there.